Welcome to another episode of Football Scientific. I'm Aaron Sauter, and this is Timmy the Trash Talking Tiger Shark. Hey everybody, I'm Timmy. And I'm a writer for UFL News Hub and the CFL News Hub. I write about the San Antonio Brahmas and the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the CFL, San Antonio Brahmas of the UFL. I also write about the Indoor Football League, and I'm breaking into the NAL, the National Arena League, okay? Tonight, we're going to spend some time updating you on all today's events that occurred at all levels of football in the NFL, CFL, UFL, NAL, and then looking forward to the IFL, okay? So first, we're going to get started. Ready to get started, Timmy? Let's get it going, man. All right, so here's what we're looking at. First, NAL tonight. I'm starting off week 2 of the NAL 1-0. The Sioux City Bandits came out and dominated Idaho Horsemen. I predicted that would be a shootout, but the Horsemen just couldn't put the ball in the end zone. They drove the ball, they got right out of the field, and then they couldn't protect the quarterback, and they could not score. Okay, the Bandits really performed about like I thought they would. They scored 46 points. The Horsemen, I predicted the Bandits would have 45. Horsemen had 44. Horsemen could not do their part. This is their first game of the year. Their offense is not popping. Okay, they run a bunch of empty sets and a bunch of crossing routes, and they couldn't get open against Sioux City. And they could move the ball in a couple chunks in the field, but then when they got to a shorter part of the field, they could not get off coverage against Sioux City. I think that's a bad sign for the Idaho Horsemen. Good sign for the Bandits. Getting beat last week by the Beaumont Renegades might mean the Renegades are pretty good, okay? Another thing that's coming up is next Friday night, the IFL starts playing Indoor Football League. They start week 1 games next Friday night. I'll be doing a series of shorts that I'm calling Football Scientific Laser Focus. And I'm going to talk about each of the teams in the IFL. There's 14 teams. Each day I'm going to do a laser focus episode, a quick short about 2 of the teams, one from the East, one from the West, as we go through and prepare for the IFL season. Next Thursday night, I will go through my predictions for week 1 of the IFL. Okay, so watch out for those shorts. If you're interested in indoor football, I'm going to run through a preview of each team, an East team and a West team. Next week, in 2 weeks, I'll do that for the UFL as they prepare to play their first week games if we get there, okay? So watch out for Football Scientific Laser Focus. It's a series of shorts. Also, once Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, one or the other, have made a commitment to a team, I will do a night vision episode of that. The night vision episode is meant for special announcements in the NFL, okay? So we'll see what happens. That's the next big thing I'm waiting for. The next domino I'm waiting to fall is Aaron Rodgers. He's rumored to go with the Steelers, but he's not going with the Steelers. I've seen a lot of articles today that I'm going to the Steelers, but he has not officially done that. And they picked up Mason Rudolph yesterday as a quarterback. The Steelers did. So what are they going to do? And then Russell Wilson keeps messing around with the Browns and the Vikings and the Giants, and he's doing the same thing Aaron Rodgers is doing. He's probably going to go the opposite place of Aaron Rodgers, okay? So I can see him going to the Browns. Ooh, probably not the Browns because they're paying Deshaun Watson $81 million now that I think about it. But probably to the Giants or the Steelers, whichever team Aaron Rodgers doesn't go to. Okay? All right, so watch out for that short series. Also, the night vision. And if anything else happens during the week that's surprising, I'm going to make a short about that too. I'm going to get better at making the shorts. Boom! Big news today from the UFL. Okay, bad news as well. Big news and bad news. The UFLPA has officially filed unfair labor practice charges against the UFL. We're 2 weeks out of their first week of games. They're playing on March 28th, okay? This is the second week of training camp. They're getting through it. They're about to make their first cuts. This is worst case scenario for players wanting to do a labor dispute, okay? Worst case scenario for the fans, the players, and the league. No one's a winner in this situation. If I was the players, I would pause this and I would pick this up in the offseason because it's going to ruin the league. It's going to put the league out of business. I feel strongly that if they go on strike, it's going to put the league out of business. And why file charges against the league if you're not going to follow up with a strike, okay? So what were those charges? What do they entail? Basically, they're saying that the league was going to wrongfully, fire several players, release them for not going to media day. Breach of contract. Really, in my mind, it's breach of contract from the players. That opens the door, but they're trying to press charges on that, file charges against the UFL for that. Also, Quentin Dormady, I had mentioned he had been released by the Memphis Showbuzz. I mentioned I heard he was homesick, but I guess he was identified as the ringleader of this labor dispute. It started with the quarterbacks. I guess Quentin Dormady was the leader of that. He's an easy scapegoat because when he was in XFL, he played for Atlanta Guardians, and he got caught trying to give away their playbook because he wasn't a starting quarterback. He was giving away the playbook to other teams and setting them up. So it seems like he's kind of a dark dude. So I guess he's the leader of the labor dispute. But that can't be possible because they're still doing a labor dispute even though he's been released from the league. So obviously he wasn't the turning point there. But either way, see ya, Quentin Dormady. I never really thought much of him as a quarterback because, he's made a lot of bad decisions. He was late with the throws. I never felt impressed when he was with the Brahmas, okay? So, goodbye. Houston Roughnecks have released outside linebacker Vaughn Taylor Jr., okay? But they have signed defensive end Byron Vaughns, who played at Baylor. And really, those guys are probably like the same position. It says outside linebacker and defensive end. But Brian Vaughns is an edge rusher, and Vaughn Taylor Jr. was an edge rusher. So they just exchanged edge rushers, okay? Next, the Michigan Panthers have released wide receiver John Hightower. Yesterday, the San Antonio Brahmas released their long snapper, Dalton Godfrey. I had mentioned that I knew they were opening the position up for a new guy to be signed. I was hoping as Rex Sunahara, who plays for the Cleveland Browns, who had been the Brahmas long snapper. No luck on that. Didn't get Rex Sunahara. But they did sign Cameron Lyles as their new long snapper, who played at University of Charlotte in college. I couldn't find any information on Cameron Lyles. I was going to write an article about him, but I couldn't find any information about him going to Charlotte. So it's kind of an unknown dude. We'll see if he's any good. Hopefully he is. I'm having faith in the Brahmas that they're making good personnel decisions. They've done well. Ray Phillips, Mark Lillibridge have done well choosing players. So I'm assuming Cameron Lyles is going to get the job done, but you never can tell, especially in the UFL. Birmingham Stallions had wide receiver Shi Smith retire. I'm going to go Shi Smith. He retires from the league, okay? He just had enough. It's okay. It's okay to have enough. That's the UFL news. We don't normally start with UFL news, but we did today because of that labor dispute. Okay, I think that's the biggest news of the day right there. Is that labor? If they don't end up playing, this is going to be tragic. It's going to be tragic. We'll have to focus on the CFL, indoor football, and the NFL. And that would be a real downer, I hope they don't do that. I would like to go to some UFL games this year. I'm a big supporter of the Brahmas. I'm hoping to go watch the Brahmas play against the Birmingham Stallions. But if they end up canceling the season because of a labor dispute, that's lame, okay? Players, that's lame. That's shellfish, huh? You said shellfish. It's shellfish. It's selfish. That's selfish of them. They want to get paid. But they're in a developmental league. Sorry, it's a minor league. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You get what you get and don't throw a fit. That's right, Timmy. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. They're throwing a fit, Timmy. They're throwing a fit. Okay. Canadian Football League, Saskatchewan Roughriders. They signed American defensive back Phelan Sanford. He's established himself as a special teams standout. He played at Nebraska. Special teams guy. You need those in the CFL. You can't have you can't have too many guys who want to play special teams. BC Lions, interesting thing that happened here. The BC Lions are forced to pay former running back Alexander Hollins, $75,000 bonus after the CFLPA, their Players Association, wins an injury grievance. Here's what happened. In January, the BC Lions cut Alexander Hollins to avoid paying him a bonus, which commonly happens in January for CFL teams. If there's a guy you don't really want to keep and want to pay him a bonus, you cut him and let him become a free agent, and then you don't pay him the bonus, okay? So they did that to Alexander Hollins. They cut him, but there's one hang-up with that. He finished the 2024 season with a knee injury, so he didn't finish the season. And teams cannot release injured players in the CFL. Okay, you cannot release injured players in the CFL without penalties. So the BC Lions did release Alexander Hollins, but now they have to pay him the $75,000 bonus anyway because they released him when he was injured. Okay. Also, not directly CFL news, but it's Canadian football news. Canadian outside linebacker Michael Hecht. I had mentioned he had been signed by the Buffalo Bills a few days ago. Got signed by the Buffalo Bills. Well, he's been suspended by the NFL for 6 games due to PED violations. Okay, he's using PEDs. And he got caught, and now he's gone for 6 games. So that's a Canadian in the spotlight. I love the CFL. I like Canadian football. I like Canadian college football too, youth sports football. But this Canadian made a bad call with PEDs, and now he got caught, so he's suspended. He will be playing for the Buffalo Bills. Go Bills. I'm happy to see them do well, but that's a poor decision on Michael Hecht's part, okay? Got it. That's your CFL news. Looking good, okay? Next, in the NFL, we had several more signings. Free agency, we're basically, like day 4, day 5 of free agency, really. Especially started on Wednesday, but it's been fired up since last Sunday, really. So, it's cooling off, but there's still some moves being made, okay? Seattle Seahawks agreed to terms with wide receiver Cooper Kupp. He had played for the Rams the last several years. Last year, had a bunch of injury issues. The Rams cut him. He goes to the division rival, the Seattle Seahawks, for 3 years for $45 million, $15 million a year. Now, the question is, does he have any gas left in the tank? We're going to find out because he's going to be playing against the LA Rams. If he does have gas in the tank, that could become a huge thorn in the Rams' side, having a division rival with one of their old top receivers. They've released him because of injuries, but what if he comes back and he's better than ever? I mean, they may look very silly. The Seahawks are in need of receivers. They released Tyler Lockett for not producing. They traded DK Metcalf for not producing. So they need a receiver. Cooper Kupp steps in. If he can regain his form from the last couple of years before he started having these injuries, he's definitely worth the $15 million a year. If he still gets injured all the time, Seattle made a bad call. We're going to see what happens there, okay? Cincinnati Bengals have released that they're closing in on a contract extension for wide receiver Jamar Chase and wide receiver T. Higgins. Okay, so both those guys have been complaining since last year about getting an extension. They want to stay with Joe Burrow. They want to make a run. Now, last year they had all those guys and they didn't make the playoffs. So I'm not sold that spending a large amount of money on these receivers is going to make the playoffs. It doesn't work that way for Cincinnati. Okay, they don't invest their resources in the right place. But they live in a very reactionary world. I don't think the ownership has a good plan. Mike, the Brown family doesn't have a good plan for the Bengals for building this team, okay? So they're very reactionary, and rather than investing in Trey Hendrickson, who might be the top pass rusher in the league, they're going to invest in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And what that will do is it'll keep Cincinnati sports fans happy. They'll keep coming to the game, and maybe that's what it's about, is having fans come to the game, and even if they boo you for losing, at least you're coming to the game and paying the tickets. You make the money still, okay? I think that's what it's about. But they're going to, pretty soon, it sounds like they're going to finalize a contract extension for wide receiver Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's expected. The total between those two players is expected to be over $70 million a year. Okay, the problem with that is, once again, who else are you going to sign? What's your surrounding people like? You don't have a running back that's very good. You need, to win in the NFL, you need 2 good receivers, which they will have if they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You need a good tight end. Mike Gesicki isn't that guy. You need a good quarterback, Joe Burrow. You need a running back that can run the ball. I'm not sure who that's going to be right now. We got several guys on the roster that don't seem like to be the guys. And then you need offensive linemen that can pass block. Okay, that's what's necessary, especially in Zach Taylor's offense. He runs the same thing that Sean McVay runs. That's why he got the job, because he knows he's not Sean McVay. He knows Sean McVay. That's why the Bengals signed him, okay? So let's see what they do. I'm hoping they make the playoffs this year. I'm hoping they go back to the Super Bowl and can win a Super Bowl. They've never won a Super Bowl. Same as Buffalo, never won a Super Bowl. I'd love to see it make a run. But as a Bengals fan, I keep my expectations low. and that way I don't feel disappointed, okay? If you're a Bengals fan, I encourage you to approach life that way. Enjoy the uniforms, enjoy the game, enjoy Joe Burrow, but don't get yourself emotionally caught up in the Bengals becoming a championship team, because they just don't seem to have that in them. They don't have it in them, you know. Hopefully they can get over that. I wish they'd make me their GM. We can get over that together. But I don't think they're going to. I wish they would. Bengals, give me a call. I will help you win a Super Bowl. I love the Bengals. I would do that for you. Okay? All right, Dallas Cowboys. They have signed pass rusher, defensive end, edge man, Dante Fowler Jr. for 1 year for $8 million. 2024, he had 10.5 sacks with the Washington Commanders, okay? He had played for the Cowboys previously. He played for the Cowboys in 2022 to 2023, so 2 years, and he had 10 sacks total with the Cowboys in 2022 and 2023. They let him go. He goes to the Commanders and has 10.5 sacks. Now, that's a huge bump in production. The only thing I'm thinking is it's not because he's a better player. So bringing him back for $8 million may not make a lot of sense. It seems like maybe he doesn't play as well in the Dallas Cowboys structure. But we'll see. I would like to see the Dallas Cowboys continue to stink. I like it when they stink. It's fun. Okay, all right. Philadelphia Eagles say they're open to trading tight end Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert last year, he's been a tight end for the Eagles for 4 seasons. Three seasons. He's entering his 4th season of his contract. They're looking to dump his contract because they don't want to pay him again. Last year, in 10 games, he caught 42 passes, 496 yards, and 2 TDs, which would be a great season for Bengals tight end, but they don't have that level of production. So, I mean, that's a pretty good season. 10 games, he had 42 catches, 496 yards, 2 touchdowns. In the playoffs, okay, he had 17 catches, and in the Super Bowl, he had 4 catches. So he was productive when he needed him to be. But they're willing to trade him for picks, most likely trade him for picks. They want to get more picks so they can continue to stack their team and try to make another run to the Super Bowl. They've also said that pass rusher, edge man, Bryce Huff, they're willing to trade him too, mainly because they signed Bryce Huff for a lot of money because he had been pretty good. In 2023, he had 10 sacks for the New York Jets. And the Eagles thought, well, if he has 10 sacks for the New York Jets, he'll probably come here and have, 100 because he's going to actually have a team around him that's good. But the Jets' defense was pretty good. Their coverage was really good with Sauce Gardner and such, okay? But it didn't matter. Bryce Huff this year, after they signed him, only played 27% of defensive snaps because he was injured. He did not play in the Super Bowl. He ended with 2.5 sacks and 1 forced fumble, which is not worth the money they paid. They paid him a large, like $41.25 million for 3 years. And he had 2.5 sacks and dropped his production to 25% of what he had with the New York Jets. That's the danger of overpaying a player that doesn't have a long track record. I always build my rosters. I try to, in my mind, build my roster like Bill Parcells. I want to take trusted people. I want to take proven people and put them in playmaker positions, and then I can build around those playmakers, okay? I would not overspend on guys who are not able to produce at the level we need them to. That's what I'm saying, Bengals. Let me know. Give me a call. I can be your GM. We can turn this around. We can win a Super Bowl. Okay, we can bring it home to Cincinnati. But we're not going to overpay dudes. We're probably going to trade T. Higgins and get some picks for that dude and get some fresh legs in there. Okay, Kansas City Chiefs. They have re-signed running back Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was kind of a big signing for them. To be a back, he's a running back 2 for them. He backs up Isaiah Pacheco. They re-signed him for 1 year for $1.5 million. That can go up to 2.5 if he hits some performance marks. You can get incentives up to 2.5. I like incentive-based contracts. I like signing them for a low price and say, if you do this, you get paid more. Okay? That's a really good way to do business because it keeps people motivated. 2024 with the Chiefs, he had 728 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns in 13 games. Okay, he averaged 56 yards per game. For a backup running back, those are good numbers, okay? The New England Patriots have signed safety Marcus Epps for 1 year for $4.4 million. It's like they're rebuilding their defensive secondary. which is sad. I like the Patriots when they lose a lot. I enjoy watching them lose a lot. Go Buffalo. Win the AFC East. Okay. Washington Commanders signed offensive lineman Nate Herbig. They're making some moves on the O-line. If you remember, they traded for Larry Tunsil with the Texans. They're trying to make some moves on them, trying to get better so they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to need a running game and a play-action passing game off that. They signed Nate Herbig for a one-year contract. The Kansas City Chiefs, they signed defensive end Jerry Tillery to a one-year contract. Buffalo Bills signed offensive guard Kendrick Green to a one-year contract. They also signed cornerback Dane Jackson to a one-year contract. A lot of one-year contracts today. Just picking up support players. Atlanta Falcons signed a defensive lineman Morgan Fox. 2 years, $8.5 million. He could be a potential playmaker for them. They need help on their defense, especially defensive line stopping the run, rushing the passer. So they picked up Morgan Fox for 2 years for $8.5 million. They have also signed cornerback Keith Taylor. That may be important. If you have a good pass rush and good coverage, you're going to be able to get some stops. They need to get some stops. Philadelphia Eagles have signed linebacker Patrick Johnson to a one-year contract. They signed tight end Kylan Branson to a one-year contract, which is why they're ready to let Dallas go. I guess they got plenty of tight ends. They're going to sign running back and kick returner Avery Williams to a one-year contract. They've come to agreement with him. And they signed long snapper Charlie Hewlett to a one-year contract. Okay, those long snappers are important, and you never know how important they are until you don't have one. Okay. Kansas City Chiefs continues. They also signed quarterback Bailey Zappi. That's going to be a backup quarterback for them and give him a chance to have a new beginning after being with the Patriots and not really getting a great opportunity to succeed. Detroit Lions have re-signed wide receiver Tim Patrick. He's a support player for the Lions. They re-signed him for 1 year. Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signed wide receiver Sterling Shepard for 1 year. Seattle Seahawks have re-signed wide receiver Cody White. Okay, they need receivers. Cody White's going to be a support player, probably a special teams guy. New England Patriots signed offensive lineman Wes Schweitzen for 1 year. New York Giants signed linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. They also signed defensive tackle Jeremiah Ledbetter for 1 year for $1.7 million. Minnesota Vikings signed linebacker Eric Wilson. LA Chargers have signed linebacker Delshawn Phillips for 1 year. Miami Dolphins signed tight end Pharaoh Brown. The New Orleans Saints have signed defensive lineman Jonah Williams. The New York Jets have signed punter Austin McNamara. And they have signed running back, it appears to be Kenny Nwangu. 1 year for $2.5 million. I'm not aware of him. We'll see how it goes. And then the LA Rams have signed defensive tackle Laurel Munchinson, okay, for 1 year. So that's the NFL signings. They're starting to dwindle down. I think next week I'm going to go through and look at the AFC East and the West. I may look at some CFL stuff. It's going to be pretty open-ended. We'll see what happens. But a reminder, I'll be doing the series of shorts, the football scientific laser focus, talking about an East team and a West team. I'm saying I'm going to do that over, one a day, but I'll probably do them in a flurry, because there's going to be 7 videos, 7 shorts, previewing those teams. There's 14 teams in the league. They play next Friday. So we're looking, if I don't make one tonight, which I'm not going to, it's going to be 6 days. And I'd like to have that done before the preview, before my first round of predictions, and week 1 next Thursday, okay? Remember, you can, if you're into gambling, which I would not recommend, but if you're into gambling for the IFL, that's available on DraftKings. They have an IFL sportsbook there, so you could do that. I wouldn't recommend it, especially early in the season. The offenses tend to start slow, and they tend to be challenged, and it's hard to say, over, under. It's going to be a lot of unders in the first couple of weeks if things are like last year. Or like NFL football for the first couple of weeks last year, and then things picked up as it went. So I would say it's a gambling, especially early in the season, can be risky. I don't do it. But if you're into that, do it. And my predictions should be spot on. I'm pretty aware of the IFL teams. I'm getting more with the NAL teams. Like I said, 1-0 this weekend now. Okay, it puts me at 3-2 for the season. I believe I have 2 winners tomorrow with the Omaha Beef beating the Colorado Spartans and the Carolina Cobras. I think they're going to beat the Wheeling Miners. Both of these games are tomorrow night, 7 and 7:30. Check them out on YouTube. That's Eastern time for both of those games. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out articles on UFL News Hub and CFL News Hub and my Substack, and subscribe to that or whatever you need to do. Let's see. If you want to sponsor Football Scientific, let me know. Bengals, if you want to hire me as your general manager, give me a call. Okay, text me, send me a DM on the Twitter, and I will do that for you. Okay. Yes, bring us to the Bengals. Yes, bring us to the Bengals, and we will win a Super Bowl. That's my guarantee. If you bring me on, I'll win a Super Bowl. Let's win a Super Bowl. Yes, let's do it. Okay. All right. Thanks, Timmy, for a good night. You're welcome. And I hope you're having a good night. And I'll talk more about football tomorrow. But thank you for joining Football Scientific. I am Aaron Sauter, and I'm signing off.